This is Anita Alexandra, and welcome to 5-Element Personality Paradigms, Navigating Relationships. Although coronaviruses are endemic in humans and infections are normally mild, cross-species transmission has produced some unusually virulent strains, and COVID-19 is one of them. A virus is a submicroscopic infectious agent that replicates only inside the living cells of an organism. They're basically capsules of genetic material, and like parasites, they cannot live for long outside of a host. To reproduce, they invade cells in the body and take over the mechanism that makes cells work, often eventually destroying host cells during this process. Once invaded, the body can mobilize a defense network that is like the military power of a country waging a war on all fronts to eliminate the virus through multi-level, progressive defense channels. This is how immunity is formed. Although we're capable of developing long-lasting immunity against a virus, such as the common cold, some viruses are very clever. So the virus that caused a cold a few months ago is now somewhat different. It has mutated, and our adaptive immune systems are forced to start from scratch. We acquire immunity through one of three routes: natural or innate immunity that is genetically inherited or acquired through the maternal antibody; acquired immunity, which can occur after contact with a disease; and artificial or specific immunity, which can be developed over a lifetime, acquired through exposure to the infectious disease through someone else's antibodies or after a successful vaccination. A virus behaves much like a corrupted wood personality trait with its attack mode and military takeover of the cells. It kills the host cells as it expands out of control, giving no thought to the consequences of such destruction to the individual. Fire. Fire is also found in its frequent symptoms of fever, energy rising into the head causing headaches, sweating from a fever, and a sore throat. Viruses can also be sneaky or clever and hide around like the unconscious motives of a water personality, lurking in the recesses and shadows, waiting to be carried into opportunistic infection. So it is covert, like the military strategy of a wood personality, with the patience of water. COVID-19, like water, is mysterious, and it's going to be quite a while before we know enough about this stranger in our midst. Now let's take a look at the individual elements. The wood personality will not lie down in the face of a global pandemic. Wood might be frustrated, even angry, as it fights for what is possible. Its competitive nature will be the first in line to diligently apply for any aid available and be on the phone screaming at someone if they don't get it fast enough. Wood will be working on a plan, strategies of survival and future thriving. They will most likely motivate others around them and have little time or use for wallowing or allowing self-pity in others. In its best expression, wood will be flexible in problem-solving and solution-oriented strategies. The wood personality will want to be prepared for a possible future threat. They are survivors and will find a way to live in the new world regardless of the changes and the challenges. They love overcoming obstacles and winning. The fire personality has a need for emotional expression and spontaneity, so it could be bouncing off the walls. It will not be served in its desire for immediate gratification during these times. Fire looks for joy, so how they get what they need and want may come from a combination of entitlements regarding resources available and the desire to get out there and claim their due. They will suffer deeply from social isolation as they need others and want to have fun and be entertained, unless, of course, they are adept at social media and technology and can transfer the party to an iPhone or an online venue. People motivate them to everything, so without the constant energy that moves them along, inertia is a definite possibility. When COVID-19 moves on to the next phase, fire will resurrect with optimism and relief as they return to circulating more freely among others. The earth personality will abide by stay-at-home orders, but will go to the store a lot for food and comfort and a sense of security. They will most likely be supportive of others and surrounded by family members and less affected by social distancing requirements. They thrive on stability, so they may be rocked to their core if affected financially in significant ways. But they also have inner strength and stability, so they'll want to be strong for others as they await a return to normal. They are probably the most likely of the elements to believe that things will return to something like what they have known, whether this is true or not. A part of them won't mind the slower, less driven pace of the New World Order, but procrastination is an Earth personality trait. So that, combined with the tendency to worry, could cause a great deal of inertia that can lead to other difficulties such as sleep disturbances and health issues related to a sedentary lifestyle. Earth will not be the best element for an inspired rebuild, as it will only want to hold on to what it once knew and might dig in its heels. But even this can create a sense of comforting familiarity and stability. The metal personality is always busy in their mind. A lot of time will be spent watching the latest news and sorting through the information and scientific research. Most are tech savvy and likely to be able to work from home. The routines were already established, so they'll continue to follow them and, when not possible, establish a replacement. They will be disturbed by conflicting information and the sheer quantity that must be sorted through. An overthinking mind doesn't sleep or rest well, so there could be problems in this area. However, problem solving and seeking solutions will be their go-to as they look to the future of how to manage this latest challenge and what can be created, invented, and changed. Metal tends towards sorrow emotionally, so there could be a lot of expression of grief or repression of grief over their inability to perceive the effect this is having on the entire world. Metal will want to inform the world of this threat and take steps to ensure that it never happens again, that we are as prepared as we can be by listening to and following the direction of brilliant scientists, leaders, and innovators. The water personality is going to be feeling a lot during this time, but it won't be restricted to their typical propensity toward fear. Any emotion can be on the table. Water moves, so it will be moved around and affected by all the experiences of others. The water personality needs to make sense of things and their relationship to life in a larger scheme, so it will be looking for spiritual understanding, guidance, and even comfort in those ruminations and acquired perspectives. Going back and forth between human emotion and higher-minded perceptions will cause water some emotional instability, and daily habits and motivations will be affected. Water's going to care about what happens to itself and to everyone, so safety protocols will be in place. Water will have hope for humanity, but it will not imagine a world that is ever going back to the way it once was. It believes that people who are willing to change and work toward higher goals will thrive through a sense of purpose, so they will guide and motivate others toward that vision. Now I'll put these 5 element traits together in current relationship paradigms. The 3 primary areas affected by the influence of COVID-19 are health, politics, and economics. I covered a lot of politics in podcast 2, so let's start with health. The most important element regarding healthcare information comes from metal's ability to gather, interpret, discern, and disseminate that information, especially through technology. The objectivity of metal's communication will allow us to sort through opinions and stick to the facts in order to make intelligent decisions about our health. This also requires a collaborative effort best found in the earth element, as earth rules physical health, family, community, and our connection to the world. It protects material resources, so we need it in making our financial decisions. This will be further assisted by the patience and higher vision traits of water, joining the discernment of metal before we can design our new plan for living and carry it out through wood, the architect, and in this case, the rebuilder. Fire's contribution to the joyful part of living is significantly challenged right now, so we must draw on its spontaneous creativity and delegate adequate time for doing the things that cultivate and feed our joy, hope, and positive expression. Almost nothing has gotten a greater response emotionally than the suggestion and requirement to wear a mask in public. The guideline itself is a metal attempt to establish a system that protects humanity, which is guided by the earth personality. Metal wants to create order. Earth is concerned for the health and economic welfare of all. Although metal establishes systems and sets laws and guidance in place, it is a wood function to enforce those controls. We get to see again how well a corrupted wood and fire personality pairing responds to being asked, let alone told what to do. Defensiveness and aggression are primarily wood traits. A clear example of this is found in a man punching a clerk at a store for attempting to enforce this policy. And it has gone the other way too, as in law enforcement getting heavy-handed in dealing with non-mask wearing offenders. We have citizens showing up to protect their right to work without masks, and with assault weapons to prove a point, as if that wasn't far more threatening to humanity than simply wearing a mask could be. It's a mask, a Halloween party prop, with the potential to reduce the spread of a deadly virus still in its early stages of research and understanding. The mental acceptance of necessary systems that serve the many, Earth's protection of humanity, and water's patience and softer approach to things is called for to balance this issue. Responses to financial challenges at this time are probably even more varied than health and politics, with fear as a dominating emotion. Panic could be considered a characteristic fearful propensity of fire, but how one experiences fear is not restricted to one element. The wood personality tends to lash out and become defensive to protect its feelings and beliefs. The fire personality is more emotionally charged and volatile, and if not properly expressed, could tend toward anxiety and depression and even mania. Earth obsesses and would keep their worry locked up inside, which can also lead to anxiety and depression. Earth personalities are often people pleasers, and that can lead to self-neglect and passive-aggressive behaviors as their self-protective natures and insecurities regarding conflict are pushed. Metal can be prone to sadness and sorrow. This can also express through depression and a heaviness of heart that greatly disturbs its logical mind and thought processes. Water personalities might express their significantly deep emotional natures, or they could keep them buried deep down inside at levels they may or may not be aware of, expressing in any number of covert behaviors, which include brooding and aloof silences. Fear creates self-protection, which leads to isolation. So the challenge is to learn to be vulnerable and permeable like water, while simultaneously remaining involved and connected like fire and earth, while keeping a good head on our shoulders through metal and taking appropriate action through wood. With this, we fall back into the political realm. Placing corrupted wood and corrupted fire together once more, which is starting to look a lot like a signature United States trait, is demonstrated clearly through the president's response to wearing a mask. We have an individual of authority, a leader, a wood quality, refusing to set an example of safety to the nation even against his own government's medical advice, against most state governors, against his own age and health risk category, and in the face of the positive effects from doing so all over the world. The message in his response implies that he doesn't want to participate. He doesn't care about the logic, and so his behavior is corrupted fire. That spoiled, attention-seeking child for whom the rules don't apply. Even so, fire cares a lot about what people think about them and how they present to the world. Even the most self-righteous, independent-thinking, self-serving wood personality, or fire for that matter, knows that they need others to build dreams, to do big things, to affect large groups, and to move forward. And in that, there must eventually be some negotiation and compromise. Downplaying all danger to please the crowd and appearing to be the most positive and optimistic person in the room adds some earth traits to his mix. Earth's largest internal crisis will come from decisions about financial security, and if wearing a mask or a full hazmat suit is required, it will do so in order to get back to making money and keeping family, community, and the world safer. Since President Trump has great interest in finance and world economy, I hope we see this expression of Earth's stubbornness lose some of its wood vigilante qualities. Metal can assist, as it doesn't mind rules if they're evidence-based. Water's response to the control will need a little time to absorb the information and find reasons for their actions, but they like establishing boundaries, so a general concern for humanity will have them participating in what is best for all. The economic impact of COVID-19 will be unfolding exponentially for a long time to come. It's probably impossible for the average human being to comprehend all the pieces of how these shifts will trickle down and affect commerce, lifestyle, and plain old survival for such vast numbers of people all over the world. The general responses of the 5-element personalities will be as varied as the circumstances surrounding that individual, family, or business. The nature of the 5 elements is designed to seek balance, like a body of water seeks the sea. So in order to protect and prosper, they will individually and collectively work for the greater good of the whole, as impediments are circumvented, and issues find resolution. In closing, I leave you with this to ponder. Has the human race ever been globally forced to be mindful of every breath we take, every way we move, every way that we affect and are affected by others in our behaviors? And what kind of changes in human consciousness is this seeding? Again, it's too soon to tell. For further information on 5-element personality assessment and how you can learn to navigate relationships in your life, please visit www.architectinhealth.com. Thanks for listening.